Hello class 6. Today we'll be starting with a new chapter. The name of the chapter is Saviors of the Train and it is written by Edith Nesbit. It is a story about three siblings, Roberta, Peter and Phyllis. Roberta is the eldest one and is also named Bobby, whereas Phyllis is the youngest of the three siblings. And all three of these children were living with their mother in a small cottage which was situated near a railway line in Yorkshire, England. Now, one day while they were out picking cherry blossoms, they came to a wooden step which was leading directly to a railway line, and from there they witnessed something which was quite magical for them, but it was also dangerous, and then they acted upon it. They tried to remove the danger, or they tried to save people from that danger. How they did it, the story is about that. So without wasting any time, let's begin with the story. You have to open page number 38 of your literature book. Okay, so let's begin. The children were almost at the little swing gate at the top of the flight of steps when Bobby said, "Hush, stop! What's that?" That was a very odd noise indeed. A soft noise, but quite plainly to be heard through the sound of the wind in tree branches. It was a sort of rustling, whispering sound. As they listened, it stopped, and then it began again. And this time it did not stop, but it grew louder, and there was more rustling and rumbling. Roberta, who's also called Bobby in this chapter, is the eldest of the three siblings. Peter is her brother and Phyllis is the younger sister. So all three children were picking cherry blossoms, and while picking they kept on moving, and soon they were at a place where there was a small gate with a flight of steps leading to the railway line, and the three children were standing at the top of the steps when suddenly Bobby asked her other two siblings to be quiet because she heard a noise, and they could hear that noise through the trees. That means the wind was blowing and they could hear that sound as it traveled with the wind. Now the sound she heard was a rustling, whispering sound. Whisper, everybody knows, it was a very soft, very low sound, and rustling is the sound that is made by dry leaves when they move as the wind blows. Okay, so the sound Bobby heard was a rustling sound, and after some time that they could not hear the sound. That means the sound stopped, and then again it started. But when it started again, it was a continuous rumbling sound as if something was rolling down, and it grew louder. The sound that she heard, it became louder. "Look," cried Peter suddenly, "the tree over there." The tree he pointed at was one of those that have rough grey leaves and white flowers. And as Peter pointed, the tree was moving, not just the way trees ought to move when the wind blows through them, but all in one piece, as though it were a live creature and were walking down the side of the cutting. "It's moving," cried Bobby. "Oh, look, and so are the others." "It's magic," said Phyllis breathlessly. "I always knew this railway was enchanted." It really did seem a little like magic, for all the trees for about 20 yards of the opposite bank seemed to be slowly walking down towards the railway line, the tree with the grey leaves bringing up the rear like some old shepherd driving a flock of green sheep. "What is it? Oh, what is it?" said Phyllis. "It's much too magic for me. I don't like it. Let's go home." But Bobby and Peter clung fast to the rail and watched breathlessly. And Phyllis made no movement towards going home by herself. The trees moved on and on. Some stones and loose earth fell down and rattled on the railway metals far below. So as the sound grew louder, all three children looked in the direction of the sound, and Peter pointed to one of the trees which was having grey leaves and white flowers, and the tree was moving, but it was not moving the way a tree is supposed to move, like swaying. Trees, they don't have legs, they can't move. So what the only movement they do is swaying, that also when the wind blows. So they sway like this, turning left or right. So when the children saw the tree moving down the slope of that rock, it seemed as if it was a living creature. And then Bobby points out that not only this tree but other trees are also moving. So when Phyllis looks at the whole lot of trees moving down the slope of the hill, she found it very magical and says that she always knew that the railway line had magical powers. Enchanted means having magical powers. Now the movement of the complete lot of trees down the slope of that hill or that rock appeared as if a shepherd was driving a flock of sheep. Now who is a shepherd? Shepherd is a person who takes the sheep out for grazing and looks after them, maneuvers them and takes care of them and brings them back to their pen. In the same way, when the trees were moving down, the tree which was at the end, the one Peter pointed out with having grey leaves and white flowers, that was appearing, that was resembling a shepherd. It appeared as if it was a shepherd which was pushing or driving the remaining trees down towards the railway line. So the movement of the complete lot of trees down the slope of that hill was too much for Phyllis to bear, and she got scared and asked other two, that is Bobby and Peter, to head towards the home. But Bobby and Peter were watching that complete scene very carefully, and they were holding the railing of that footstep very tightly out of nervousness. Phyllis, on the other hand, she did not have that much courage to head back home on her own. So slowly as they were watching, the trees kept on moving down towards the railway lines, and then along with the trees, small stones and loose earth means the soil, also came down and fell onto the railway line. "It's all coming down," Peter tried to say, but he found there was hardly any voice to say it with. And indeed, just as he spoke, the great rock on the top of which the walking trees were leaned slowly forward. The trees, ceasing to walk, stood still and shivered. Leaning with the rock, they seemed to hesitate a moment, and then rock and trees and grass and bushes, with a rushing sound, slipped right away from the face of the cutting and fell on the line with a blundering crash that could have been heard half a mile off. A cloud of dust rose up. So when the stone and the trees started coming down towards the railway line, Peter said, "It's all coming down," but he was witnessing that event and he got so scared that he could not say it loudly. And very soon the entire top of that rock, along with trees and bushes and stones, whatever was there on that rock, everything came crashing down onto the railway line. And the movement was so that rolling down was so strong that when the entire thing fell onto the railway line, it gave a very loud sound, and the crash, it was a very loud crash. So as everything crashed, as everything landed on the railway line, there was a huge cloud of dust also. "Oh," said Peter in awestruck tones, "isn't it exactly like when coals come in? If there wasn't any roof to the cellar and you could see down." "Look, what a great mound it's made," said Bobby. "Yes," said Peter slowly. He was still leaning on the fence. "Yes," he said again, still more slowly. Then he stood upright. "The 11:29 down hasn't gone by yet. We must let them know at the station or there'll be a most frightful accident. Let's run," said Bobby and began. But Peter cried, "Come back," and looked at Mother's watch. He was very prompt and businesslike, and his face looked whiter than they had ever seen it. "No time," he said. "It's 2 miles away and it's past 11. If we had anything red, we could get down on the line and wave it. But the train wouldn't see us till it got round the corner, and then it could see the mound just as well as us," said Phyllis. "Better, because it's much bigger than us. Anyway, let's get down." Looking at the landslide, Peter is filled with wonder, and he compares the landslide to the filling of coal into a cellar which has got no roof. He says that just as when coal is dumped into a cellar, it creates a huge cloud of coal dust. In the same way, the entire trees and the soil, which when it fell on that ground, on that railway line, it also has created the cloud of dust. And then Bobby says that the whole landslide has made a huge mass of earth. It has made a huge mound on the railway line. Now Peter was also looking at that mound of earth on that railway line, and he very slowly he said yes, and then he stood up and suddenly realized that the 11:29 down is the train that passes that railway line at 11:29 a.m. So he suddenly realizes that that train which is supposed to pass through that railway line at 11:29, it hasn't gone by yet. And then says that because it is time for that train to pass through here, it is better that they inform the railway station or the railway master about this landslide, so that any accident can be avoided. So Bobby says, "Okay, let's do it." So she says, "Okay, let's run and go to that railway station." But Peter told them to come back. And Peter was wearing his mother's watch, and he looked at it, and he was thinking very quickly, very precisely, and he says that there is no time, because the railway station is about 2 miles away, and by the time we'll reach there, it will be too late, and the train will come toward this area, and it will meet a frightful accident. So he says that rather than going to the railway station, it would be better if they could use something which is red in color, because red is the color of danger. So he says that we can use something which is red in color, and we'll go a little towards the railway station. We'll not go to the railway station, but we'll move from here towards the railway station, and after reaching a certain point of place, we'll stop there and we'll start waving that red thing, so that the train will wave it, will be raising it, will be waving it. So from a very far distance, the driver of the train will be able to see us, and then he will realize that we are waving a red something that shows, that will signify that there is a danger ahead, and so it will slow down its speed, and by the time it reaches us, it will be that driver, the engine driver will be able to see us also, and the mound of rock also it will be able to see, because that mound is quite bigger than us. So that was the plan.